Welcome to all. What I'd like to do right now is essentially extend the story that Shobit and Taran have been telling us and bringing that into the framework that Dirk presented before. With this next slide or the next 2 or 3 slides, what we're looking at is on the one hand side, what's in the field, what we put in the building. We're connecting assets. We're looking at placing sensors inside the building. And of course, we also have our field users out there. We're collecting that data, we're visualizing that data, generating insights, and we're also using that to create that building like a mother, as we've heard, that cares for you, in this case, in terms of optimal climate, while saving energy, of course, as well. So there's various elements that we're looking at with the use cases here in the Bosch building here in Singapore. From track and trace, asset performance management, we're collecting that data. We have geospatial data. So this is data, indoor localization data. We can analyze that, use machine learning and AI, then to provide new digital services and also to calculate KPIs to better understand how our building is doing, how it's improving, and how the service that we're providing to the customers or the users of the building, the tenants, is also improving. What we have done for this is we have taken a couple of IoT use cases. I will elaborate that on those in a minute, that are rolled out, that are productive. And I think this is what we see currently quite frequently, that we have the standard classical IoT use cases, mainly on the monitoring side. And then how we've combined these to build the first pilot, then for new AI solutions based on that data to further augment the building and how it works. So the connected building that we see, we've also seen that before from the colleagues from CBRE. We're looking at the various systems inside the building. So whether that's lighting, whether that is occupancy, whether that is an HVAC system. We add on sensors like air quality sensors, for example, or occupancy sensors. We can tap into the security system to collect all that data and get a better understanding inside the building. Ultimately, what we want to have is a holistic view of what is happening inside and around the building in order to have a building that cares better for its occupants. I really like this, this picture of the mother that is taking care of all, because we want our buildings not just to be more accessible through apps, but we want them essentially to be autonomous, that we don't have to specifically tell a building what we want, but that the building actually feels what we need and then adapts accordingly also to the crowds in the times of pandemic and also afterwards to make sure that everybody feels safe and stays healthy around the building. So one of the basic use cases I would like to highlight for today is air quality monitoring. So using a smart building sensor, what we have done, we have equipped our office with this smart building sensor. It measures things like temperature, humidity, CO2, and TVOC, so total volatile organic compounds. And we can collect that data to understand how we are doing, specifically, I think, with the humidity for the long term, how the climate inside the building is affecting things like furniture, but also the fixed assets. The CO2 and TVOCs have a huge impact on the employees. By keeping those levels in a healthy range, we can make everybody happy. The second use case, using the same sensors essentially, is the space monitoring that we would see, the possibility that we have through various means to measure the usage of a room, whether this is through a passive infrared sensor or whether this is through a beacon that the various users carry. We can then see where they are, the spaces they occupy. This insight gives us, helps us understand which areas people prefer, which areas might go unused in spaces. So I think also with what we have seen, how the way of working evolves over time from everybody centrally in an office to this distributed work, that we understand these movements and that we can manage our spaces accordingly, as well as, of course, we can also use this on a day-to-day basis for cleaning, for example, to optimize the cleaning and disinfection. The data that we collect from these sensors can be visualized, it can be analyzed. We have more operational transparency. We can then use that data to build new use cases like preference-based climate control. So this is a solution that has been established together with corporate research here at Bosch. The system essentially uses the data that we have previously seen. That means the ambient data and the occupancy data, and allows us then to give the occupants exactly the temperature, the conditions that they need, something that the system learns, that it can then decide how to set the HVAC system, how to control the airflow to ensure that everybody stays healthy, that everybody is doing well. Another example of an AIoT use case, and Dirk has mentioned that, we're currently preparing a detailed description of this also for the AIoT framework. This is an example of a collaboration. Nobody can do AIoT alone between TÜV Süd and Bosch, where we have got the IoT system, sensors on the lift, helps us to monitor the lift movements, the door movements, and other parameters that then helps us to understand the health of the lift, and using AI models also predict potential breakdowns, not just when they happen, but also the details of what could potentially happen and what could potentially go wrong. We so help both the building owners and the service companies to have more efficient operations, to make sure that we're replacing the right parts and ultimately save cost, increase the safety, and increase the uptime as well of the lifts. And that concludes the talk with the vision, as I mentioned, towards the mother, the building that is truly intelligent, that is capable of adjusting to whatever the occupants need in terms of the space it provides, in terms of the climate it provides, the atmosphere that is there, and also the services, as we have seen before, whether these are services for food and beverages or any other kind of amenities that anybody could potentially wish for. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining this session and for listening in to this reference case.